I'm Grant.
And I'm Carl.
And today we're going to be comparing Calgary
and Toronto real estate. One of the key differences between Toronto and Calgary real estate is the price points. In this particular building, the Gateway project, we have buildings starting at $459. In Toronto, you'd be extremely hard pressed to find anything in this price range, but if you did, you'd be most likely looking at a studio, not a unit anywhere near as impressive as what you saw in some of our previous videos. Price per square foot in this particular building, you're looking at around the 500s a square foot. In Toronto, you'd be very hard pressed to find something for less than $1,000 a square foot, if not more. We're seeing stuff 12, 13, even 1,400 a square foot sometimes. Units in this particular building, being the Gateway project, they're averaging in the 500s a square foot. In Toronto, you'd be lucky to get something at $1,000 a square foot. We're seeing stuff upwards of even 1,400 a square foot now. So Calgary has tremendous value compared to Toronto. One of the main differences between Calgary and Toronto real estate is the price point. In Calgary, in this particular building, being the Gateway, units are starting at $459. This is an unheard of price point in Toronto. If you're lucky, at most you'd be looking at a studio. Nowhere near as impressive as these units that you're finding in Calgary, specifically in the Gateway project that we're sitting in now.
Comparing the finishes of Toronto and Calgary condos is honestly a hard task because they are so different. When you walk through a Toronto new build, you're going to notice that for the most part, all of the finishes are the cheapest of the cheap. The floors bounce, the walls are thin, cheap faucets, thin doors. There's not too much that's very spectacular about them. Then when you come to Calgary, things are very different. You walk through these units, you have built-in appliances, high-end appliances, solid floors, high ceilings, pot lights. The list just goes on and on. So, like I say, it's a very hard task because they're nothing alike.
Location-wise, to give you guys a feel as to between Calgary and the specific area of the Gateway project in the West District neighborhood, we compare it to an Oakville. It has a similar kind of feel. You aren't surrounded by high-rises like you'd be in Toronto. You have kind of similar style of shops, but you also have the convenience of being in a short proximity to downtown and having a variety of other great amenities that you wouldn't necessarily have in Oakville. You also have tremendous views with the mountains being able to be seen in some units, and then in other units you can see the Winsport Olympic Park. You're also not surrounded by a lot of different buildings where it's a lot more open and you don't have people staring in at you and having that real congested feel.
The views in Toronto and Calgary are extremely different. When you're looking at the views in Toronto, if you're fortunate enough, you may get a view of the CN Tower, the lake, or just the city in general. When you come to Calgary, things are very different. Things are very open. You may have a view of the mountains, the Olympic Park, or even the city. When looking at the price points between the two locations in Calgary, you're not going to be paying a crazy premium for a nice view. Where in Toronto, you're going to be paying quite a substantial amount of money to not be staring into someone else's window.
One of the main things that you notice when you look at condos in Calgary versus Toronto is simply the amount of space that you're able to get. You aren't going to see space like this in Toronto because developers are making the units smaller and smaller, not only to maximize profit, but also because it simply would cost too much as a consumer to buy these units if they were building them. In Calgary, you're getting a ton of storage, ton of living space, large bedrooms. You rarely are going to find this in Toronto without paying an extremely high price point. That's why you don't see these units too often. Not many developers are building them. The units are getting smaller and smaller. In Calgary, if you have a lot of stuff to store, this is the place for you. You got lots of closets. If you love fashion, you like having a lot of clothes, accessories, handbags, shoes, you're able to store it all.
When comparing the cost to purchase in Toronto versus Calgary, the savings are significant. In Calgary, there is no HST. On the purchase price, there is GST, but oftentimes builders will include this. In Calgary, it's not uncommon to find parking included. In Toronto, this can cost tens of thousands of dollars extra. On top of this, developer levies. In Toronto, if you've purchased a condo, well, a new construction condo, you know that these can cost you significant amounts of money. In this project specific, there are none. Foreign buyers tax. In a lot of cities around Canada, there is now a foreign buyers tax. Calgary, there is none, so this is great to encourage investors. Land transfer tax. I know for many buyers, especially first-time buyers, this is a sore spot because it can cost thousands of extra dollars. In Calgary, this does not apply, so it is a huge advantage. If you guys liked what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe.
And follow us on Instagram if you want to stay updated with our latest posts.